So in the question, we have 8 cups of water, 5 cups of concentrate, 13 cups total. We want to make 10 cups of the juice, not 13, only 10. So what would happen to these amounts? Would they get bigger or would they get smaller? They're going to get smaller, that's right. Okay? I want to know how much concentrate and how much water I need. So let's start with our let statement. Let's say let X equal concentrate. Okay? And I'm going to do the following for my ratio. It's concentrate over total. So let's use this information off to the side here. Okay? If I'm putting the amount of concentrate over the total, what should I write to begin my proportion? 5 over 13, perfect. That's going to equal the amount of concentrate. That's my unknown. That's what I'm solving for. X over 10. X because I'm looking for the amount of concentrate. Where's the 10 coming from? Yeah, you only want to make 10 cups of juice. And then I'm going to cross multiply. 13 times X would give me 13X. Write your equal sign. 5 tens are 50. And then what would I do to solve for X? Divide both sides by 13. That says 13 times X. I just want 1X. So I'll divide the left by 13. Whatever I do to the left, I do to the right. That's going to leave X equals 50 divided by 13. That's some trash number. It says go to 1 decimal place. All right, let's go 2. Let's call it 3.85. And what would that be? Cups. Cups of concentrate. Now to do the amount of water, you could take this number and subtract it from 10. And you'd get 6.15 cups of water. That's a perfectly acceptable way to do it. Some people just like to repeat the process. They say let Y equal the amount of water. And instead of writing concentrate over total, what should I write here to set up my ratio? Water over total. I'm going to go to the given information. How many cups of water? How many cups total? It's going to equal what over what? What do I put on top? The amount of water, Y, that's the unknown, it would take to make 10 cups of the juice. And once again, I'll cross multiply. Y times 13 would give me 13Y. And 8 times 10 would give me 80. Don't forget to write your equal sign in between those. And what would you do from here? If you just want 1Y, you would divide both sides by 13, and you would end up with Y equal to 6.15 cups of water. 80 divided by 13 gives me 6.153846154. The 10 under the Y, okay, great question, comes right here in the question. It says, if you want to make 10 cups of the juice. Okay? Now, I'm making 10 cups of the juice, and that requires both water and concentrate. Okay? And do you see that these two numbers, 3.85 and 6.15, what do they add up to give me? 10. Okay? Notice that they're down from the 5 and 8 cups, respectively, in the original recipe. And that's what we figured would happen. Okay, so that's called a totals question. You will see one like that on the quiz tomorrow. We're going to move into unit price or unit rate. Okay? There will be one of these on the quiz, but they're super quick and easy. It's a nice little way to figure, like basically what you're trying to do is figure out the cost of one item. All right? And it's sometimes like an effective way, like if you're trying to save money, like sometimes we'll buy, like if you're talking toilet paper, you guys aren't shopping for toilet paper, but like you can go to the grocery store and you can get 8 rolls for $5, or you could get 12 rolls for $7. You're going to pay a little more, but in the other one, you could figure out what it would cost you for one roll, and then that way you can decide on which is the better deal. Okay? Even though you might have to pay a little bit more money up front. Okay, what is the unit price? It's the cost of one unit, and it's a rate because the units are different. It's usually dollars over units, we'll say. Could be per pen or per mug or per shirt or per pound, per gram. And it's expressed as a fraction which the denominator is 1. What do I mean by the denominator? What part of the fraction is the denominator? It's the bottom of the fraction. Good. Okay? So here's an example. It says 5 JMH mugs cost $15.25. The unit price is. So here's all I would do to figure out the cost of one mug. I would take $15.25. So I'm putting the dollars on top. And that is for 5 mugs. And when I divide that, what do I get? What's 15? 3.05. What does that mean? How do I read that? $3 and what? 5 cents. And what's on the bottom? 1 mug. Now, we usually express that like so. We would call that 3.05. And then instead of writing over 1, a lot of times we'll put this slash. And then I'll write mug. How do you read that? $3.05. What does this mean? Per mug. Okay? So you're paying $3.05 per mug. Now you know what it costs for 1 mug. And that's really all there is to the unit price. Okay? So let's look at another example. Remember when you're doing the unit price, put the dollar amount on top and then the units on the bottom. It could be mugs, pens, grams, pounds, t-shirts, whatever. Next example. Your girl Rosa buys supplies for the town in Montague, Prince Edward Island, where she works as a clerk. She wants to buy pens. The supplier sells a box of 12 pens for $6.25. Calculate the unit price of 1 pen. So when I set this up, should I go 12 divided by 6.25 or should I go 6.25 divided by 12? The 6.25, the price, the dollar amount, goes on top. So it's going to be $6.25 divided by what? 12, and what are those units on the bottom? Pens. And when I divide this, what is 6.25 divided by 12? And I'll round it to the nearest, like it says this. It says 0.52083, and then the 3 just carries on crazy forever. Okay, and that would be dollars and cents for 1 pen. How do you think I should round this if I'm talking money? Like, where should I round it? Should I go 4? 2. Okay, I'll call it $0.52 or 52 cents slash, what does the slash mean? How do I read that? Per what? pen. So she's paying 52 cents a pen. Okay, and what's the unit price good for? It's helpful as a consumer when you're trying to pick out what's the better deal. Now, you don't always necessarily go with what the better deal is. Like maybe you don't feel like spending $10 on 50 rolls of toilet paper. Maybe you just want 8 rolls of toilet paper, and it's even though it's going to cost you $5. Maybe you don't have enough space in your shopping cart. Okay, that could be a reason for not going with the better. Or maybe you only have $5 on you. You're tapped. Here's a situation where we can compare. So Claire picks fresh strawberries at a U-Pick farm in Deep Bite, Newfoundland. Anyone know what a U-Pick farm is? That's where you show up and you grab a basket and you go away into the field and you pick your strawberries or your blueberries, and then you come back and you weigh them and they charge you accordingly. Okay? In this situation, she sells a pint basket or 0.5506 liters at a cost of $1.50. And then she sells a 4-liter ice cream pail at a cost of $9. Okay? Which size of a container will be the better buy? Okay? Like some people, like if you're just looking at how much you would spend, maybe some people think that $1.50 is better because it's less than $9. Okay? But here's what I can do. For the pint basket, I'm going to put the dollar amount, so the $1.50, and you can do this as well, on top of, what are the units? What units should I use? Should I use a pint or should I use liters? I should use liters because I want to compare dollars to liters in both situations. And that's what I have going on in the 4-liter ice cream pail. So 1.50 divided by 0.5506 liters. And when I do that, 1.5 divided by 0.5506, I get $2.72 per liter. Is that all right? That's what the unit price for the pint basket is, the smaller basket. You could do that, okay? And if you did 2.72 times 4, okay, what would that give me? 2.72 times 4. We get $10.88. So $10.88 for 4 liters. So what would you rather pay? $10.88 for 4 liters of strawberries or $9? Yeah, you'd rather spend less money. Okay, so that would be one way to do it, Walker. Great suggestion. Another way is to do the unit price for the 4-liter pail. Okay, so what's the dollar amount for the 4-liter pail? What number goes on top in this fraction? $9. I'm going to divide it by how many liters? 4. And if I go 9 divided by 4, I get 2.25. $2.25 per what? Liter. Now, that also shows us the same thing that Walker just explained. Okay? $10.88 for 4 liters versus $9 for 4 liters. We know that $9 is the better buy. When you're comparing these two numbers, which one's the better buy? It's still this one, still the same information. You want to spend less. So that also has to be considered when you're trying to figure out these situations, when money's involved. Like if you're paying money, do you want to pay more or do you want to pay less? You want to pay less, always. Okay? No one wants to pay more money for the same amount of something. But what if you're getting paid? Or like just say you were working like an hourly, like do you want a higher hourly wage rate, we'll say, than a lower one? Would you sooner get paid $50 an hour or $40 an hour? 50, right? We want more money. So if you're getting paid, you pick the higher number. If you're purchasing, you want to pick the lower number. Okay? So when it comes to what's the better buy, what would you say? The 4-liter pail, that's the $9 one, is the better buy. You're saving almost 50 cents a liter, 47 cents a liter. Okay? Which might not be enough to tip the scale, you know what I mean? Like 47 cents isn't a whole lot of cash. Someone might just say, oh, well, whatever, I'm making some muffins, I only need a pint of strawberries. Okay? But when it comes to what's the better buy, there's no denying the 4-liter pail is the better buy. So here's one for you to try. Okay? And this one's called a unit rate because there's no cost involved. Okay? In this situation, and you have it in your notes, factory manager knows that he can produce 24,000 JMH mugs in an 8-hour shift. How many can he produce in just 1 hour? Okay? So I'll pause this video. You can try it. All right, back into it. We have 24,000 mugs made in 8 hours. When you divide 24,000 by 8, you end up with 3,000 mugs per 1 hour. So remember, in a unit price or a unit rate, the denominator is always going to be 1. So this represents 1 hour. And we read that as 3,000 mugs per hour. Any questions, concerns? You okay with this? All right. You can try questions 1 to 7 on that little worksheet I gave you. You can also make sure that you have yesterday's homework sheet done because that gives you a little more of the review of what's going to be on tomorrow's quiz.